Hey everyone, this is Felicia with The Book is Done. It is Tuesday, December 27th. Um, it's late, but I'm doing good. It's only like a little after 10 o'clock. But I finished this story maybe a few hours ago. I had to get my life together because I don't know what it is with these books that I've been reading or these suggestions that I have been taking advantage of from other people. Please forgive my tie. I'm going to go to bed. And I just took some NyQuil because I've been fighting some kind of little something. But in all things, excuse me, y'all, y'all, when I was you, Amber Garza, from my understanding, she's written other books. I don't know where I have been. Like, apparently under a rock or something, because this is the first time that I've heard of her. And this book is so cute. It's like it's like a nice little size. And you can literally, like, my phone, I have a Galaxy. It's almost like it's a little smaller than this, but it's fabulous. Just finished this book. If y'all listen, I just posted a video the other day about Lord Alice Feeney, Daisy Darker. So that book blew me away. This right here, oh, instant fan, just like Alice Feeney. This author right here, Amber Garza, yeah, the truth. When I tell you, this book was so good. I couldn't put it down. I literally couldn't put it down. The only time in which I had to put it down was because I wasn't feeling good and I was like slowly starting to go in and out of it because of the medicine. But I mean, like, doctor's appointments, the book was there with me. To the kitchen before I could wash dishes, the book was with me. It was with me everywhere. This book was so good up until literally the last sentence of the entire book. I just went back and read it for like the fourth time just to be sure that I read that right. Listen, ain't nothing like a woman scorned. That's all I gotta say. So again, this is because I'm going to go into it and it's going to include spoilers and stuff. But this right here, When I Was You, Amber Garza. I think I got it on Amazon. Um, but I believe it's everywhere. Target, Walmart, major retailers, Barnes and Noble. But I got it from Amazon for a really good deal too. Um, I think, well, in all things, I'm not going to promote different things, but it's a whole bunch of good sales going on if you know where to look, which is everywhere. So, When I Was You, it says it's two women, one life, both can't have it all. That's on the front cover, right? So, it's a small town. I forgot what state it's based in, but it is this woman who is named Kelly Medina, and starts out the book. She's a brand new empty nester, so it seems, but she is an empty nester. Her and her husband, Raphael, they have one son, Aaron, who was 19. He went off to college, which was about maybe 10 hours away. Her husband was a professor at a university, maybe about 2 or 3 hours away. I want to say it's in California. But so she's home. Her husband only comes home on the weekends because it's a 2 hour drive one way to university where he teaches. So I was just like, okay, I can kind of go for that. Okay, I can go for it. So it just sets out the whole thing where Aaron was for the majority of the first part of the book, Aaron was her only child, was their only child. Her and Raphael, they met in undergrad, they met in college, got married. She was pregnant with Aaron. You find out later on in the book that she had a baby, a second child, a daughter, Isabella or Isabel. I can't remember. I want to say it's Isabella. And she died, and I do apologize, this is a trigger as well. She died of SIDS at 2 months, sudden infant death syndrome. For those who may not know, that's what SIDS is. And so that just really shook her to her core naturally, for a parent that loses a child at any age. And so Aaron is like her pride and joy. He goes off to college, and her husband just feels like she just spoils him. Like she just spoils him rotten. So goes on, and she receives a phone call from the pediatrician that she goes and says, the person on the other line says, well, we were just calling to remind you about your child's 1 year well check. And she was like, ma'am, you're about 18 years too late. My son is 19. He's in college. Like, clearly you have the wrong person. She was like, oh, weird. There's another woman in town with the same name as you, Kelly Medina. And she was like, wait, what? And so I was like, how interesting. A woman with the same name in the same town, going to the same pediatrician that you went to. Ironically, your pediatrician's office is calling you about a well check. So I was like, okay, we're just gonna let it ride. So she is this Kelly Medina, who we initially started this. I don't even want to say she's like middle aged. They had Aaron when they were like 20, I presume, like maybe when they had just graduated from undergrad, so maybe like 22, 23. So she's like in her early 40s, early to mid 40s, empty nester. And she, I don't want to say naturally becomes obsessed with like trying to find out who this other person is, but I mean, if someone moved into the same city as me, same area, with my same name, going to my same pediatrician, I may have to do some investigating in that as well. So um, she tries to find out information about this woman, nothing. And it was like her husband and her best friend, Christine, uh, they were just like, are you okay? And they painted her as to where she was like, some, you could tell something had happened, because they were trying to keep tabs on her. And they were like, not this again. I thought that we had gotten past this. And I was just like, what's wrong with her? Not to say it like that, but I was like, what's wrong with her? Like, why don't they trust her? Like, I don't understand. So I mean, she becomes naturally obsessed with this woman, and she ironically not to say ironically, she ends up going to the pediatrician's office before the woman and child get there, and she actually runs into them in the parking lot to go to the pediatrician's office. So she meets this other Kelly Medina, and she has, I want to say it's like a 10-month-old baby. His name is Sullivan. And so young girl, she may be like, what, young woman, I'm sorry. She may be like 18, 19. And so she was just like, hey, um, how are you? Just making like just random conversation. Come to find out they have the same name. She was like, okay, well, maybe I'll show you around town. And the young woman was like, well, yeah, that's cool. You know, I don't know anyone here. And so that would be kind of nice to get to know the town. Long story short, she gets to know this woman. She becomes the older Kelly Medina, who we started out with. She becomes obsessed with this woman, like straight stalkish. Like she's staking out at this woman's house. And I'm sorry, that could be another trigger as well. It's a few triggers in this book, actually, now that I get on with it. But she, I want to say it's not really physical abuse, but it could be like some kind of alcohol abuse, some kind of roughness, not really like scary type stuff, but I guess like intimacy, like dominatrix type stuff. And I apologize if I said that wrong. That may be the medicine starting to work, but there are some triggers, so definitely take heed to it. But she becomes obsessed with this woman, like she is stalking her at her house. She's across the street watching her. Like she's going up to her house looking through the blinds. And she, in a sense, wanted to make it seem like she was taking her up under her wing. And so she was like, well, you know, I see, but she was forcing herself on her as well. And so it was kind of uncomfortable. And the young Kelly Medina was just like, okay, well, if you need the help, well, we really don't need the help. It's fine. She was like, no, I insist. Like, she is forcing herself on her to try to get to know this woman. So she gets to know her. She starts stalking her, which is really scary. And she becomes obsessed because she was like, I think I know who you are. And some way, somehow, mother tuition, intuition, I don't know if that's what you call it, but some way, somehow, she makes a connection between the younger Kelly Medina and her son. And then all of a sudden, she was just like, Sullivan is my grandson. I just know it. And I was just like, yo, like, how did she even? Why? And she wasn't on social media or anything like that. It was just weird how it all came to be. So I'm not gonna give the whole book away, but let's just say that Sullivan is related to the older Kelly Medina, but not how you would think. It's not through her son. It's not through her son at all. And so it was just a really, really good read. It was a part, I think, like going into part four, part three or four, where like they each realized, like, okay, I'm on to you, touche type thing. And while they were transitioning into that fourth part, uh, I couldn't tell which Kelly, like which point of view of the Kelly, which I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't know which Kelly I was reading from with a point of view because in the transition, of course, it was a tussle. It was a little back and forth. So you didn't know which Kelly you were reading through. And so it took me a minute, maybe like 5 or 6 pages into the new part where I realized, okay, I am in the mind of the younger Kelly. And so that kind of threw me off a little bit because it was like you didn't know who was who. Because throughout the majority of this book, this was like by the time we get to like page 275, 285, you've been with the empty nester Kelly like this whole entire time. And so it does switch to the younger Kelly. And I was just like, Lord Jesus, I was in the doctor's office and I had read a part and I was just like, you know, I was like this in a doctor's office. Like, I was so taken aback. And it was like back to back to back. This book right here was a very, very good read. Very light. It definitely kept your attention because it was just like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to stop here because I want to see what's next. I want to see what happens next. And so, very, very good book. I think I read that she has like, I think maybe 6 or 7 books. Amber Garza. I tried to find her on Instagram because I am on Instagram, y'all. At the book is done. Go check me out. Go follow me. And even here, subscribe to this channel because I'm constantly. I think this is the quickest I have read books in forever. And like I said, if I didn't feel like I was getting over some kind of icky stuff, I would have finished this legit probably in like 12 hours. And it's about 300 and some page book. I want to say it was like 325, 300, 326 books. I got a glimpse of the last sentence and still just kind of took my breath away. So I am automatically going to follow her, rather, let me start there. Follow her on Amazon, and then I'm going to add all of her books to my book wish list. And eventually, I am going to have all of these books, and eventually, I am going to read them all and do a review on them. Because when I was you, if any of these other books like this here, instant fan, instant forever fan. I'm already an instant fan, forever fan. Just like Alice Feeney, when she drops another book, I'm gonna be at the store, like ready. They could just take my money. I don't care if it's $30. They can take it. Same way with Amber. I didn't get that way with Alice Feeney until I read her second book. The first one I read was Rock, Paper, Scissors, which I did a review on, and Daisy Darker, which I did a review on the other day. So after the second book, I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. I went to Half Price Books yesterday, just as a treat to myself. Messed around and got a deal on an Alice Feeney book. Sometimes I lie. I'm looking at it. It's over there. I'm going to get my hands on it after the first of the year. But Yeah, got a nice deal on it, so I'm gonna read that book. And then I think she has his and hers, and I think it's like one other book. It's three. It's a total of three Alice Feeney books that I have to read. But Amber Garza, I'm on to her. I am definitely looking into purchasing a second book, probably tonight, even though I shouldn't. But you gotta love Amazon, love it. So um, earlier the early last week, I believe, maybe early to mid last week, I said that I had five remaining books on my list because I'm on Goodreads as well under The Book is Done. And When I Was You, Daisy Darker was two out of the five that I said I wanted to read before the 31st, meaning like this Saturday, I'm going to finish all five of these books. That's the goal I set for myself. So it's a book that I'm reading called The Nothing Man. That's by Catherine Ryan Howard. I am going to break down and start this book tonight. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I see this book everywhere. So, I'm not really into like romance and stuff, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I love a good Nicholas Sparks book or Nora Roberts or um, Barbara Delinsky, Mary Higgins Clark, which she's more mystery, but she does have some romance. And even Danielle Steele, I'm into all of that, but I just haven't read them in a while. So I've heard really good things. So this is the fourth book, and then the fifth book is called Hidden Pictures by Jason Recollect. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my nightstand. I got books everywhere, y'all. Y'all should see my to be read book shelf. Both of them, three of them. It's horrible. But I am going to start on the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, probably tonight. Let's see, it's 10:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time now. I'm going to give myself to about 11 o'clock to see how much I can get into it, and then we'll go from there. But until then, my goal is to be done with this book. Probably it depends on how good it is. If it's just as good as they say it is, I may be done in a day, maybe 2 days. I don't know. We're going into Wednesday, and I got three books to read, so we'll see. But in all things, this is Felicia with The Book is Done. I just completed When I Was You by Amber Garza today. Go check her out. She is absolutely amazing. The book is done. What's next? The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and The Nothing Man. Y'all have a good evening.